This isn't a SWAT team simulator. Tell your buddies to keep their hands to themselves. Don't drink moonshine on the clock. This is Escape from Tarkov, where a single bullet will end someone's escape plan. Armor, bullets, and ballistics matter for the well-prepared. And if you're the last man standing after an intense firefight, you own the map and all of its delicious loot. How not to be a noob. Escape from Tarkov. Escape from Tarkov, or EFT for short, is a mil-sim first-person shooter developed by Battlestate Games. The maps are similar to mini sandbox arenas with randomized spawns and exits per session. Players, aside from leveling character skills relevant to their shooting ability, can also construct and maintain a home-based hideout to stash weapons, armor, food, and even different types of currency used in-game. So let's look at what's important to know about Tarkov before you jump in and get annihilated, which, no matter how hard you try, is gonna happen. This tutorial will cover weapons, ammo, and gear, character skill and experience, PvP, the flea market, maps of Tarkov, the hideout, and pro tips. Weapons, ammo, and gear. From light machine guns, sniper rifles, smoke grenades, and even thermal goggles, Tarkov has a vast array of weapons at the player's disposal. Modding these weapons can be equally confusing for the average Ivan. Specific gun builds are subjective to each individual person's playstyle, so there is no right or wrong way to build your loadout. There are, however, a few things to keep in mind when you do. First, ergonomics of your gun will affect the overall aiming down sight speed as well as the amount of time you stay scoped in. It also affects the overall sound you make when aiming down sights. The higher the ergo, the faster you snap to your sights. Longer you can stay scoped in, and the quieter you are while doing so. Recoil reduction of both horizontal and vertical affect, you guessed it, recoil. Since individual weapon builds are ever changing, it's best to experiment with different builds in the edit preset option you can access by right-clicking the desired gun you intend to modify to get an idea of what builds are possible. You can then purchase the necessary mods by clicking assemble and purchase all, so long as the parts are available either the trader or the flea market. Ammo knowledge is as important to your loadout as the gun itself. Ballistics in Tarkov is complicated and ever-changing, so instead of going over each type of ammo, there's a link in the description with an updated version of what the current ballistics of ammo is. Ballistics affect everything from chance to damage armored players, flesh damage, fragmentation chance, and even bullet velocity. Ammo, again, is situational to your specific loadout, but knowing its strengths and weaknesses before you hop into a match is key. Before loading into a map, you can choose a night or day raid and see what the weather conditions are. Bringing a sniper rifle at night on a close quarter map is not recommended. Just remember that like ammo, armor and plate carrier vests have strengths and weaknesses. Everything comes at a cost. Having high mobility might mean you have less protection, and vice versa. Also, armor level is important, and I will include a link to armor level and protection values in the description. However, it's important to keep in mind most of the endgame armor is too expensive for new players. Character skills and experience. Yes, you heard that right, and no, you're not in the land of dragons and princesses looking for the wizard's lost car keys. Like most MMOs, Tarkov has tasks or quests given to you by the traders to gain experience. I will include a resource in the description to help you with any tasks you may be stuck on, and also you have character skills like how much stamina you have, what's the chance you will bleed when you're hit by a bullet, and even how often you need to eat. Most of these can be leveled passively by simply playing the game. There are, however, a few exceptions and how to level these a bit quicker. The best way to increase these skills is to take a big old bite of life in Tarkov. Eat, drink, loot, drop, and open anything and everything you can. This means eating and drinking all consumables you find. It means picking up the loot and even just dropping loot you don't plan on taking. Checking every dead scav and player you find also contribute to a skill you have. One thing to keep in mind is that every raid has a max skill cap, so if you see the red icon over the skill, it means you have reached the max level of experience for the skill for that raid. Other skills can only be leveled when you fire your gun, reload a mag, take damage, bleed, or survive being shot and heal from it. Walking and running with a full backpack and even throwing grenades all contribute to your character's skill progression. Again, link in the description to specific skills and methods to level them. PvP. PvP for the new Tarkovian can be terrifying and downright confusing. Sometimes you can have a strategic firefight that lasts for what feels like hours, and other times it will be over with a single shot. Each map has a set number of bots, aka scavs, along with players, and even player scav. So here's a couple tips to help you in PvP. Treat all threats equally. Speculation and complacency on the difficulty of your opponent based off premature observation can get you killed. Everything with a wiener has a gun. That gun is trying to kill you. Treat all threats equally. Player scavs can be sneaky and will attempt to blend in with the AI to gain an advantage, so don't sleep on scavs. Scavs can also be precursors to local scav bosses, which can often be more difficult than players themselves. Pick your battles. Sometimes it's best to retreat, reset, or outmaneuver your opponent. Situational awareness of knowing where your opponents are and their respective avenues of approach only come with experience. And just remember that there is no right or wrong way to PvP in Tarkov. The beauty of sandbox gameplay is the freedom of playstyle. Camping a high-traffic choke point with a high-power sniper rifle, or run and gunning with the element of surprise and overwhelming force are both viable strats. The important thing to keep in mind in PvP is that every death is a lesson. Positioning, angle of fire, approach, cover, patience, concealment, and gear are all factors to consider when you die. Don't be discouraged. Some of the best players have a relatively low survival rate. Finally, let's not forget the adrenaline factor. Games like Tarkov thrive because of the adrenaline your body goes through in firefights. Because of the nature of organic engagements happening dynamically, and the psychology of losing imagined property, your body responds with adrenaline. This is what makes these types of survival games awesome. The more you play, the less this physical effect will have on your body, numbing you to the initial surge of anxiety you get when a fight is initiated. But making panic decisions and having an urge to flee are all a part of this process. Only experience will reduce this effect, so don't be discouraged if you pull a hatchet out when you meant to throw a grenade, or run when you meant to shoot. As long as you keep fighting the urge to be a sissy la-la and keep playing, you will get better, I promise. The flea market. The flea market is a valuable player-driven auction house that can help ease the pain of death by increasing your funds in Tarkov. It unlocks when you reach level 5. You can trade items, buy needed quest items, and even sell anything your little hopeful heart desires. As you make successful sales, your flea market reputation increases, which in turn gives you more offers and opportunities to make money. This can be invaluable for early game quest items you can't find, or high damage ammo. I recommend focusing on a few items and watching their value periodically through the week. Keep an eye on prices so you can buy low and sell high. Mastering the flea market will be a tremendous help in breaking the psychological effect of losing gear in Tarkov. By having a financial cushion, you can then begin to run different armor and weapon combos to gain confidence and experience in the game. Maps of Tarkov. Each map of Tarkov differs in size, AI difficulty and frequency, and player count. From an abandoned factory close quarter to a vast woodland forest to a military base and everything in between. Each map has high value loot locations that often require rare keys to unlock and even loot boxes. Since there is hundreds of keys and loot locations, I will provide a link in the description to each map's current extract location, every key location to every map, and some points of interest worth noting. Some maps, like labs, have dynamic extracts, high rare loot spawn chance, and only high difficulty AI with no possibility for player scouts to spawn. Other maps like Reserve have high difficulty shared extracts that will alert a server-wide alarm when the extract is available. The best tip for learning the maps is to play them offline with no AI. In fact, in the current beta build, it is possible to hop into the maps of Tarkov with or without AI to explore and understand the map. If you want to practice your skills, you can always turn on Horde mode, which gives you a horde of AI to fight, and it's been said that this feature will be removed upon full release. Keep in mind that anything you lose or obtain during this offline PvE mode has no overall effect on your actual character, but is a learning tool meant to give you a chance to check the maps out without risking your gear. Finally, if you want to try labs offline, you just need to make sure you have a keycard in your inventory, and don't worry, it's not consumed unless you go online. The Hideout. The Hideout is a virtual bunker where you can store weapons, craft ammo, cook food, and even distill moonshine. This is a maxed hideout with all the stations upgraded. As you can see, some stations like the air filter require an actual air filter to gain 40% bonus to your physical leveling skills. There's also a few things worth mentioning in regards to your hideout. First, the Bitcoin farm will generate a Bitcoin every 5 hours at max upgrade. However, the 50 graphics card needed to reach max level can set you back upwards of 15 million rubles depending on market prices. If you bought them at say 300k each, this means it would take you 28 and a half consecutive days of Bitcoin farming before you turn to profit. This is of course if you collected them every 5 hours and didn't let the farm overfill, thus halting production. Second, the scav box is a box that sends a virtual scav I have named Bob into the world of Tarkov to collect items for you. Like your actual Uncle Bob, giving this guy moonshine and expecting good results is not something I recommend. I find that in the current state of the game, it's far more profitable to sell your crafted moonshine and bet low on Bob. Giving him anything more than pocket money to get some scratchers and a brown bag 40, and you're better off speculating on the flea market. But this is for you to discover for yourself. Just be warned that gambling, much like imagining all humans in the world without elbows, is a waste of time. Finally, the shooting range, like the offline PvE mode, is an invaluable tool to test your weapons and ammo. You can bring your loadouts and get a feel for the recoil patterns of the gun you have built without worrying about expending your ammo. Each shooting range session resets once you exit out, so go nuts and make some brass fly. Pro tips. Make hay while the sun shines. Saving special weapons, armor, or random crap you think you will use someday in some fantasy situation is pointless. That day will never come. The gear, much like the appreciation of your youth, will simply be wasted and collect dust in Tarkov. So either sell it, use it, or trade it. Just don't let it sit in your inventory wasting space and money. Analyze your mistakes. Unless you're a greedy capitalist pig, like your American forefathers fought for you to be, count every experience of lost gear as a priceless learning experience. Much like life, some lessons may be more expensive than others, but each death again is an opportunity for you to ponder what you could have done better and how to learn from it, thus making you prepared for the next situation that I guarantee will happen again. Hopefully, though, with better results for you. Find your niche. Whether it's a specific route you run on a map for high profit loot or monopolizing goods on the flea market, find a way to have a go-to moneymaker will fund your exploration of the game. Locking in that cushion of funds will allow you to experiment with gun builds and map strategies. It will also help fund your purchases of endgame keys and gear. Having a nice cushion is, in my opinion, really when the game opens up. The larger your bankroll, the more freedom you have to accomplish things in-game. Go big or go home. I personally don't like running Tarkov PvP with the mindset of being at a disadvantage. This means I run the guns I am most confident with, armor that's best suited for my playstyle, and best ammo for my loadout. Constantly running low-end guns and ammo can be profitable, yes, but I don't think you are living up to your full potential doing so, especially when mediocre players can simply outplay you based off the gear and ammo they are running. Whereas if the same gear was in your hands, it then becomes down to skill and strategy. The margin of error is exponential for an endgame geared guy versus low-level geared guy. Plus, I worked hard to make the money in-game, why not use it? At the end of the day, though, this can all be preference, because there is also a huge appeal to being at an extreme disadvantage and making a play. The difference is, though, most of the playmakers are going against weak players in good gear. Run into a high-skill player in good gear, and you won't stand a chance. Don't be surprised, be ready. Due to the nature of spawns and each player's playstyle, you should expect the unexpected. Every corner you come around, every door you open, every bush you pass, and every rooftop above is a face of death. If you think you wiped a 3-man, there's probably a 4th. If you think you killed the 4th, there's definitely a 5th. And if you're lucky enough to kill the 5th, there's probably a sniper watching it all, waiting for you to start looting so he can take his shot. This mentality will keep you ready to react and not surprised when something pops off. And trust me, it will pop off. Your head, I mean. You're gonna die. A lot. Deal with it. Some of the top tier players in Tarkov who have more hours in game than actual real world time around girls are still better than 99% of players still get one tapped. And that's okay, it's all a part of the fun. Just remember that you're playing a game developed by the KGB to turn your PC into a zombie Bitcoin farm and sap your energy in preparation for the real Red Dawn. And your boomer grandparents would be rolling over in their grave if they knew you were funding the communist enemy willingly. That should be reward enough to keep you playing. And that's it. You now have more knowledge than 90% of all Tarkovian immigrants and are ready to hit the pavement and blow some rounds off. Also, this is just the beginning. More maps, more game modes, features are coming to Tarkov in the coming months and years. Secret stuff we haven't even heard of yet. The rest, though, you will have to discover for yourself or die trying. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video or learned something new, make sure to drop a like. Also, God loves you, dude, and He has a plan for you. If you'd like to hear more about God, His Son, and the Holy Scripture, I have a podcast channel you can check out. If you're not offended by that, link in the description. Hope you stop by. Peace and God bless.